welcome to week 3 of A Better Balance. I hope you found week 2 helpful, and this week we are moving on, building on that honesty that we've been building with ourselves into thinking about how we limit ourselves by what we think, and also how we let other people and other situations limit us by outsourcing our power. There'll be more of that on Friday. That is mainly a Friday task, but as usual, I'm going to talk you through today a little bit of what's coming up. Today you've got this short video, mainly outlining the task that I would like you to do over the next couple of days. On Wednesday, I'll be back in your inbox with a worksheet for you to take today's task information and put it over on the worksheet and dig a bit deeper. Today's task will take a few minutes across the week. You'll see why in a minute. Wednesday's worksheet will probably be about 15 or 20 minutes, so fairly manageable. And then Friday, when I come back and we talk about what we should and shouldn't do, your beliefs for that, not facts as we sometimes take them to be, that's going to take around 10 to 15 minutes in total for that task. So hopefully that'll help you plan your week. Back to today, I want us to start the week by thinking about the stories and the limiting beliefs that we have and hold. Now, they are the same thing. A story can be a positive story or a negative story. It can have a negative impact on you. But we can believe that they are the truth without questioning them, which is what makes it into a limiting belief. Okay, so for example, something that was true about you in the past, that you were good at something, or that you weren't good at something, you didn't do enough of something, whatever it is, may have been true at some point in the past. Okay, that's a perfectly reasonable story to have. But the thing is, these things become part of our subconscious and we don't question them. We don't even notice they're there a lot of the time. Now, I think that is the problem. When your subconscious is running the show on these kind of things, and for example, you have a story that says, I'm just not a confident person. Well, where did that come from? If that was an event that happened to you many years ago, when you were a teenager, say, I say many years ago, because for myself, it was quite a lot of years now, but you've changed as a person. Maybe you are confident enough to do the thing you're presented with today or tomorrow. You just weren't going to be able to do that 15 years ago. But that old story has now created a limiting belief that is stopping you taking part in things that are actually well within your abilities now. They're not doing us any favours. They trap us, we don't notice them, but we can catch them. Now, one thing you may have talked to me about in a one-to-one session, I know this came up a bit, was noticing our self-talk. So essentially what we're thinking in our head. When that voice talks to you, that encouragement or that discouragement, or let's face it, sometimes the really nasty stuff, if we start to notice it a bit more, rather than ignore it or push it down, we can start to take back a little bit more control. We don't have to just accept the story that's being told, the first version. Perhaps we can start to spin it around, which is Wednesday's task. A bit of a spoiler there for you. So how do we start to catch this? Now, I believe there are a few clues for these stories and limiting beliefs, okay? Number 1, are you thinking some kind of black and white truth that you are just not absolutely fact, not good at something? Or you are an X type of person. Okay, if it's really black and white, there's a very good chance that that's not entirely true, because life isn't always very black and white. The likelihood is that you land somewhere in the middle these days. Okay, so black and white statements, blanket statements as well. Anything that starts with I always or I never, or depending on the way your voice talks to you, you always, you never. You never finish things. You always let people wind you up. Okay? Blanket statement. Do you always? Do you never? Probably not. That's the story talking. That's the limiting belief talking. And then also, I'm just the kind of person who, I'm just not ever going to be able to. It's not that these things are presented negatively that's the problem. Sometimes it's a fact that we can or can't do something. But I think when we reduce ourselves to an idea of a person, I'm just not the kind of person who can, that's where the problem comes in. I do believe that any of us has got the ability to, with a growth mindset, with an idea that we can change and we want to make positive change, I believe that we can do almost anything that we put our minds to, okay? So what I'd like you to do today, to start today, is something that's going to continue through this week. It's a bit different to other tasks we've done. I would like you to have a think today and add to a list where you write down these negative stories or those blanket statements, those limiting beliefs. I advise you, if you've had your one-to-one session, you might look back at our notes and you might think, okay, the way that Rosalind has said that back to me, that sounds a bit like a limiting belief. For example, in our sessions, without naming names, anyone, don't worry, are you the kind of person who just can't relax? Or are you the kind of person who is always giving stuff to other people? You know, those kind of blanket statements, sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. But that story is holding you back from, in this instance, I believe, making positive change that you want to see. Make a list. Have a think. What comes up regularly in your conversations with people or your self-talk? Write that on the list. Maybe ask a very close loved one. Sometimes the people closest to us can notice what we can't. I know my husband can pick me up on all sorts of limiting beliefs that I hold, that I believe to be true in the moment, and he's got lots of evidence to prove that no, I'm not a complete flop in whatever area I believe at that moment. And then as you go through the week, as I say, this time's a bit split up, add to it. So when that self-talk tells you, when you're in the middle of something, you can't do this because, or, this always happens to us, we always make such a mess of such and such, write it on the list. Again, maybe this isn't going to feel very comfortable as a task, gathering all these things up together. You may have lots, they may be related to one area, but get as specific as you can. For example, a lot of my stories are around money, but rather than just writing a blanket statement of I'm just no good with money, I would be writing down lots of the individual little bits of stories, because that will help you later in the week. Okay? If you've got any questions or queries, as always, just send them this way. Happy Monday to you all. I hope it's a great week, and I will chat to you again on Wednesday. Bye for now.